Welcome to my channel. It's 1972. The United States is in the thick of the Cold War. Richard Nixon is in the White House, and Watergate is just beginning to make headlines. In the cultural sphere, America is grappling with the aftershocks of the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, and a rapidly changing society. It was a time of uncertainty, transition, and tension. But amidst all the noise, quietly, and perhaps unnoticed by most, millions of coins were rolling off the presses at the Denver Mint, coins that carried not only the image of a fallen president but also a slice of American history, among them, the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar with the D mint mark. This coin, often overlooked in pocket change, would go on to become a fascinating artifact for collectors, historians, and numismatists alike. Today, we're going deep into the world of this iconic coin, tracing its history, its symbolism, its production, and why one seemingly ordinary piece of change is commanding a value of up to $119 in the collector's market. Let's start at the beginning. The Kennedy half-dollar was first minted in 1964, less than a year after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. His death shocked the nation, and the world. Just days after the tragedy, proposals flooded in to commemorate the late president. It didn't take long for decision-makers to agree on replacing the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar, which had only been in production since 1948, with a new design featuring JFK. The new half-dollar was authorized and fast-tracked through Congress in record time. By early 1964, just a few short months after the assassination, the Kennedy half-dollar entered circulation. Americans loved it. Many hoarded it as a keepsake, refusing to spend the coin. For many, it wasn't just currency, it was a tribute. Fast forward to 1972. The 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is made of copper nickel, with no silver content. And this is an important detail because many people still believe all Kennedy halves are silver. They're not. Only those from 1964, and partially from 1965 to 1970, contain silver. What makes the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar from the Denver Mint, marked with a small D just beneath Kennedy's neck, so special? That's a huge number. So you might be asking, how can a coin so common, with so many copies floating around, possibly be worth $119? And that's where things get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, it's not always about rarity in total numbers. It's about condition, quality, and sometimes, tiny details that only a trained eye can spot. Let's talk about condition first. Most coins that enter circulation get beat up fast. Think about the coins in your pocket or purse. They get dropped, scratched, rubbed against other coins. Over time, the sharp details of the design fade away. That's why collectors value coins that are in mint state, uncirculated, pristine, as if they had just left the mint presses moments ago. The highest grades, MS 65, MS 66, and above, are the cream of the crop. And that's where some 1972 D Kennedy half-dollars shine. Collectors will pay a premium for quality. Then, there's the matter of mint errors and varieties. While most 1972 D Kennedy half-dollars look identical, some have subtle differences. Some errors are the result of die cracks, double strikes, or planchet issues. Others are varieties, differences that occurred during the die-making process, such as repunched mint marks or double dies. One known 1972 D variety includes a double die obverse, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die during minting. These are highly sought after by specialists and can fetch a significant premium if verified, but even without any errors or varieties, a regular 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar in top condition can still be incredibly valuable. As of today, a high-grade example, graded MS 66 or better, can sell for upwards of $119. That's right, $119 for a 53-year-old half-dollar that, to the untrained eye, looks like pocket change. And that's the beauty of coin collecting, that it's not just about metal content or age. It's about story. It's about condition. It's about the connection between history and the objects we carry with us, often unknowingly. Imagine the journey of a single coin. Even today, people are still pulling these coins out of old rolls, coin jars, or inherited collections and sending them in for grading, only to find out they've been sitting on a small treasure. Start by checking your own collection. Look at the date. Is it 1972? Is there a D mint mark? Hold it under a bright light. Are the details sharp? Does the coin have full luster with minimal marks? If so, you might be looking at something valuable, and if not, well, you're still holding a piece of American history in your hand. A coin that represents the memory of a beloved president. A coin that's traveled through the decades. A coin that symbolizes change, not just monetary change, but cultural and historical change. The Kennedy half-dollar remains one of the most iconic coins in American history. It represents a nation grieving the loss of a leader. It represents resilience, honor, and patriotism. And in the case of the 1972 D, it represents the enduring legacy of American minting and the thrill of the hunt for collectors everywhere. The year was 1982. Across the United States, the economy was in a turbulent state. Inflation, recession, and a general unease shadowed much of the country. But as always, in the backdrop of social and political shifts, something else was quietly unfolding, something that would eventually catch the eye of collectors and historians alike. It was the year the Denver Mint produced a coin that, at first glance, seemed like just another piece of circulating currency. But over time, this ordinary half-dollar would become something quite extraordinary. This is the story of the 1982 Kennedy half-dollar with the elusive D mint mark, a piece of metal worth 50 cents, but today valued at nearly $95, and climbing. To understand why this particular coin carries such intrigue, we need to take a step back to the very beginning of the Kennedy half-dollar series. First issued in 1964, the Kennedy half-dollar was more than just a new coin. It was a tribute. A memorial in metal. After President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in November 1963, the nation was reeling with grief. To honor his legacy, Congress moved quickly to replace the Franklin half-dollar with a new design featuring the late president's likeness. The transition happened swiftly, and by March of 1964, less than 4 months after his death, the new Kennedy half-dollars were in circulation. Now, fast forward to 1982. A year when Michael Jackson's Thriller was about to change music forever. E.T. was still in theaters. The world was watching the Falklands War, and technology was on the brink of revolutionizing communication. And quietly, in the bustling city of Denver, Colorado, a batch of half-dollars rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. Most people who saw these coins at the time paid them no special attention. They bore the familiar image of John F. Kennedy on the obverse, and on the reverse, the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch. The same design people had seen for nearly 2 decades. The composition was standard, a copper-nickel-clad outer layer bonded to a pure copper core. The diameter? 30.6 millimeters. Weight? 11.34 grams. Standard specs for a standard coin. Or so it seemed, but 1982 was a curious year for the U.S. Mint. That year, the Mint made the unprecedented decision to stop producing uncirculated mint sets for collectors. Normally, these mint sets included 1 coin of each denomination from each mint that produced them. But in 1982, due to budget cuts and declining demand, the Mint pulled the plug on these sets. And that single decision would make a huge difference in how rare and valuable certain coins from that year would eventually become. After all, the D mint mark was in its usual spot, just above the date, beneath Kennedy's neck, and most people assumed it was just another coin in the sea of millions. And to be fair, that's not entirely wrong. The Denver Mint did produce a fair number of these half-dollars in 1982. But again, the key is condition. And scarcity in pristine condition is what drives value. When collectors began to seriously hunt for high-grade 1982 D Kennedy half-dollars, they quickly realized how rare they truly were. Circulation had taken its toll. Most examples had visible wear, flattened hairlines on Kennedy's portrait, scuff marks across the fields, dings along the rim. Those few that had somehow escaped the chaos of daily commerce became hot property. So what's driving this value surge? It's a combination of factors. First, nostalgia. The 1980s are experiencing a cultural revival, and collectors love chasing coins from their childhood. Second, scarcity. As we mentioned earlier, no mint sets in 1982 means no easy source of uncirculated coins. And third? Well, it's the thrill of the hunt. Finding a 1982 D. Kennedy half-dollar in truly exceptional condition is like uncovering a time capsule, something pure and untouched from a world that's long gone. And here's the kicker. While the 1982 D is certainly not the rarest Kennedy half ever made, it is one of the most challenging to find in high grade from circulation. That detail, the fact that nearly all survivors show wear, makes those that don't incredibly desirable, but the story doesn't end there. For true enthusiasts, there's an added layer of fascination. Some of the 1982 D half-dollars have die varieties, small differences in the way the design was engraved into the die. These can include double dies, repunched mint marks, or slight design shifts. For those who love the detective work of coin collecting, that opens up an entirely new realm of exploration. Could your 1982 D half-dollar have a unique die feature? Could it be one of the few that escaped circulation unscathed? There's only one way to find out. So maybe next time you're digging through change, or flipping through a roll of half-dollars from the bank, you'll pause a little longer on that 1982 D. Maybe you'll take a closer look at the luster, the details on Kennedy's hair, the sharpness of the eagle on the reverse. Maybe you'll wonder if you've just stumbled across something special. Because if that coin grades high, if it's one of the lucky few that somehow slipped through the cracks of commerce, it could be worth a lot more than 50 cents.